don't have hobbies. My entire hobbies have been work, literally running a business for 7 years. So like I literally don't even know what I enjoy doing.
That's Maria, a close friend of mine who spent nearly a decade building one of San Diego's boutique fitness communities from the ground up. She started out in marketing and advertising, working across New York, Philly, LA, before eventually moving into wellness and founding her spin studio, Pure Indoor Cycling, where I actually first met her when I recognized her through the studio windows as also Dominican. For years, she was in it, running the business day to day, leading the team, navigating everything from rapid growth to COVID, and then she decided to step away. Not into something else, just a full stop, a year off. We actually start this conversation at the beginning, before all of that, just with how long we've known each other. Welcome back to the Corporate Detox, the podcast where we talk about work, ambition, and life in and after corporate. Because mi gente, we needed this. It's me, Elisa, longtime marketing expert and your favorite corporate escape artist. Hola, Maria. Hi. Look at the curly girlies together. We do look good. We do look good.
Curls are here.
We've known each other now for 4 years, which is crazy.
4? Oh, I feel like it's a little bit longer than 4.
No, 4. 5? Is it 5?
It's gotta be 5. Let's call it 5.
5. Let's just call it 5. But it's actually interesting because I was thinking of all the dates I don't remember.
It for sure would have been rooftop spin class days, so that would have been in the spring.
And then I met you guys around February because remember my awkward birthday when I dropped in the middle to people be like, oh, it's actually my birthday.
It's my birthday. Yes, I remember. And I was like, we
I
celebrate our birthdays here, like in this group.
This? Yeah. But then I also I was thinking, I don't even remember the day I quit at Amazon, which is crazy because I feel like you probably remember your last spin class. When do you remember
Actually,
that?
I don't remember the exact class. No, I remember the time frame, but not that which class was my last class. But I think also coming from the side of I was the owner, I was operating the studio, and so I feel like I was also focused on the studio closing, the organism of the studio closing, the organization itself. So I wasn't necessarily thinking of myself as an instructor. Which is actually kind of sad now that you brought it up. I don't remember.
But I remember your last class.
I genuinely,
did you black out?
I don't even remember what happened. Did I teach on the last day that the studio was open?
No, you didn't teach on the last day the studio was open. Right, I just remember your last class.
I don't remember my last class. You could tell me we did 15 million top stacks and I'd be like, I don't know, sure, I don't remember. Was it a weekday, weekend?
It was a weekend, yeah.
Blacked it out, I think.
Yeah.
I don't remember it at all. Literally don't remember this. You'd have to show me a photo and then I'd be like, oh yeah. I feel like there were so many other things on my mind, and I feel like it's been a few years now, so I think in my mind too, as you get further away from something time-wise, what you remember about it, I think really changes. Yeah.
But also, as what you said, there's so many things going around it that it's not one moment in time.
Right.
When did it hit you that you were maybe gonna close the studio?
I actually do remember because I was actually in Greece on vacation.
Greece. Yeah.
I was in Greece on vacation, and I remember I was on the ferry between going from Santorini to Mykonos, and I just was thinking about I have sketches out and plans, and I was thinking about potentially going back indoors and shifting our entire lobby space to accommodate a secondary workout, which is what we were doing on the rooftop because we had the space and people really liked it. And so I was trying to configure stuff, emailing back and forth with the building, and they had hired an architect to lay it out for me to see what it could look like, to be this could be a possibility. I remember going through it, trying to work on the numbers of okay, if I buy a bunch of mats, I buy equipment, we have to add another booking option on the website so that you could book a class that was both, or you could individually book a non-bike class and a bike class, so having that duality of 2 workouts in one. I remember trying to sketch that out on the ferry when I was on my trip, and then a few days later doing all the math and being it doesn't make sense. This last this last ditch effort on my part to try to be okay, well, this is working when we were on the rooftop, this could be a way to continue the studio because we'd be adding another class format, which would be another revenue driver, but it just didn't make sense. And I also think I was just really over trying to make things work. At that point I was okay, we've survived COVID, we're back indoors, things are people are reopening, and things are getting back to normal, as everybody was saying, like in like, you know, just like in the news and the media and stuff, but in reality it wasn't. Like people were still working from home. Everything was still the same in my mind. It was completely different actually, because it was so different from what we had before. People were still working from home. People were still in COVID times, like even though we were technically out of it really. And I think it was just like one of those things where I had to be like, okay, like I gotta stop trying. Like I think this is like a sign. But it's just nothing works, and like I'm over it.
This is where it starts to feel really familiar, because most big decisions don't happen in a single moment. They happen in this loop of weighing everything. Option A, option B, stay, leave, risk, safety, running every version of what life could look like. And as Maria was talking through all of that, it made me realize how clean those decisions can look in hindsight, even when they feel anything but clean when you're actually in them. But for me, in that moment, I had no plan.
So it's so interesting because you went through all those scenarios, and for me, I had no plan. It just hit me in this random meeting that I can't even remember the date of, which is like the sad part. And I'm just like, oh, fuck, I'm done. Yeah. I couldn't even tell you before that I was like burnt out. That day, it just hit me. Like, I can't think anymore.
It's so funny you don't remember what like which meeting or what you were doing.
It was a Monday, one of the Monday recaps that, you know, but I can't even like remember what was being said.
That is so crazy that you asked, that you were like, do you remember the day? And I don't. Like, I don't remember my last class. I remember the last day the studio was open, but I do vividly remember when I was like, this is it. You've tried so many things, and it was probably like that like moment where you're just like, I wasn't expecting it to be this moment. And it wasn't even, it's like one of those things where it's like not even a memorable moment, it's just a moment in time that you later then are like, oh, that was a memorable moment. Like I wish I would have like, I don't know, somehow documented it, something to like remember like that specific moment. But I think it goes to the point of like, it's not the minute specific moment, it's just like the overall like you were out of it, like you were done.
The headspace. I remember the headspace I was in that moment, and that's what I can remember. And it was kind of like a mourning process, because being like, wow, like I've invested so much time into this, and I'm just gonna call it quits. And for me, it was a lot of immigrant guilt. And I mean, I think you already were an entrepreneur before I was. So I don't know if you ever went through it.
Oh, 1,000%. You're like, how could I leave this thing? This is like the dream. This is like what everybody works towards. And like I'm here, and yet I'm like choosing to like give that all up. All the sacrifices your parents made and your parents' parents and all this stuff. At the same time, it's like if it doesn't work for you, then it doesn't work for you anymore. Yeah. It's not serving you, so like why continue?
But you have this like people invested so much time into you and like what you did. I mean, my dad was lifting boxes. My mom, was caregiving, really hard jobs. And then here I am being like, I'm just gonna walk away from my like, cushy Amazon job and like do nothing, you know? But it was so weird because after, I still, even as I was like talking to you guys about like, you know, what was I gonna do with my time off and like all this kind of stuff, I had no plan. You know what I mean? I knew that I was gonna travel, but I had no plan.
And here is where Maria and I completely lose our train of thought a little bit, because the baby could not be put down for a nap, which honestly feels kind of fitting, because we were right in the middle of talking about all of this pressure, this guilt, this feeling of I should be doing something with this time. So we'll pick it right back up there.
Even that guilt of traveling, I felt guilty about. I was like, oh my God, am I really doing this? And I remember I actually took a meeting with a career advisor. And I remember that.
I do remember that.
Yeah. And the career advisor was hearing me talk, and I probably just sounded so spastic and like all the shit that I was telling her. She was like, Adilsa, I need you to stop. You have immigrant guilt right now, and you need to take a break.
Oh my God, I love this.
And it was like almost like having somebody give me permission to take time off, to take a break, was what actually released me then to book all of my travel for the next few months in Europe. But before then, I was just like, oh, what is this? For you, like, did you give yourself permission to take time off, or were you already thinking what was next?
No. I 100%. Basically, I told myself like I wasn't gonna jump into something new right away. Yeah. Like essentially, I was like, you've been working super, super hard for 7 years, right? Like straight. I didn't take a single break year one. Year two, started to sort of dabble because like then I had the right team in place. Like year three again, then it's like year four, COVID. So it was just like all these things happening. So I never really got like a true break with the exception of vacations here and there while I was in the thick of it. So I think when it was coming to an end, I very purposely was like, you are going to force yourself to be still and not go like even consider what's next for you. Like you have to give yourself a sabbatical year. Of course, when I say, let me preface this, when I say I'm taking a break, if you know me taking a break is like, I still do stuff. It's just not with, I think, the same like intention that I normally do, which is when I like say I'm going to do something, I'm like 100% in. I've already done all the research. I've taken the time to like set myself up, and like I have a 1-year plan at minimum. Right? Like that's what I mean when I'm like, that's me doing something. Me not doing something is me literally just like, I'm going to choose not to like focus on creating a 1-year plan. Like I'm just going to go with the flow, and it's still a plan though, because I planned to take time off. So within that space, it was like, how am I going to explore hobbies? Like, how am I going to figure out what I like to do? Because I genuinely was like, after it was all kind of like done and dusted, and like, you know, like business closures and like you have to file things and all this stuff, that's all like taken care of, and like all the things, then it's like, okay, now month 2, like I don't have I don't have hobbies. My entire hobbies have been work, literally running a business for 7 years. So like I literally don't even know what I enjoy doing. So it was just kind of like taking a second to be like, okay, what do I even want to explore? Like, what do I want to try out? What do I like want to, like, how do I know what I like unless I just go and do different stuff? So that was like my only plan, was to like try different things, see what I like, and figure out like, do I have hobbies?
Do I have hobbies?
No, literally, like, what are hobbies, I guess.
Do you know that's like actually my one regret from my year off, and you're now seeing my process is through hobbies.
My husband was like the one that was like, you can just do stuff for fun. Like it doesn't have to have like an end purpose, like because it serves your work or it serves your home life or whatever. Like you can literally just like do something because it's fun. I didn't understand that concept. Like to me, doing something just because it's fun, I'm like, no, but what's its purpose? Like, what is it serving? Like the greater, you know, like purpose of like your plan or your 5-year plan or your 1-year plan, whatever it is. That's why I didn't have any hobbies, and that's what I set out to do during that sabbatical year. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna like explore hobbies.
I still think I thought in that year of what is necessary for my growth. So like what your husband told you, which is like just do things for fun. It's still not a lesson I think I took in that year. Still think in that year that would be like my one regret. But you said you had a plan. But like a loose plan. And so what did like when you woke up on the day and you were just like, okay, I'm gonna try hobbies, was it like you were doing, let me do a hobby a day? Like how did you structure it?
I basically was just like, I'm gonna start with something I know. So basically for me that was working out and going back to, I had done a Pilates certification during COVID when like the studio was closed. Again, I can't sit still, so I was like, my studio's closed, like I'm gonna do something else. So I did a Pilates certification. I never got to finish. I basically just kind of picked that back up. I was like, okay, this will be great. I can like get back into movement, but in a different way. It doesn't have to be on a spin bike, et cetera, et cetera. I kind of started with something easy because it's like something I already know, but not like it was in the same realm, but a little different. A fun way for me to sort of like figure out. And it was really nice to just move again, but not be teaching and move in a different way. I started with that. And then I just really, it was like, I was really trying to like, not like, let me structure my day. Let me like do, you know, an hour for working out and an hour for reading and this and that. And I was just really trying to just be loose and like go with the flow, truly, genuinely. I was like, okay, doing Pilates, just like my own practice to get ready to take a to test out of my certification. And then also just like going on walks or like going and trying something new. There was a tennis activity coming up like in San Diego or like taking a class. Like I was like, okay, let me just go try that. So basically it was just like something would catch my eye. I'd be like, oh, that sounds kind of interesting. Let me go try it. I think things that like I gravitated towards that I found nourishing. Like I did a lot of breath work during that time. I like reconnected with friends during that time. I read books just for fun. Like not books that like, even though I still think of them as like self-help books, but just more for fun and less for like they have a purpose. Literally up to that point, everything that I have read, I feel like I was like, oh, I never read for pleasure. And like, I just read because it's going to serve a purpose, like you were saying. So even that, just like reading for fun and not reading to like serve a purpose, I guess. I really just try to focus on doing things without thinking about, oh, how is this going to serve me later? You know what I mean? Like everything doesn't have to have like an end goal. It can just literally be because you did it or for fun. That I think is like where I was like, I just need to do stuff for fun and not think about like, oh, because this is going to help me figure out in a year, like what I want to do when this year is over. Let things come as they go and then just try it out.
Where were you looking for, like, what to pick up next?
Eventbrite. Like, I would just look on Eventbrite and see what things, like, activities were going on. Whenever somebody would ask me to go do something and I'd never done it before, I would go. I did, like, pole dancing. I'd never done pole dancing before, but I was like, what do I have to lose? Literally, I was like, what do I have to lose? Like, let me go try that. Somebody would invite me to something, 9 times out of 10, I was, yes. I was like, let me just go try it. I've never done this before.
Yeah.
So that was literally my rule. Like, it was just like, don't think about the end outcome of something, just do it. And then if somebody asks you to do something you've never done before, just go and try it.
How did you know that it was time to pick up more?
I don't know. There wasn't, that's the thing. Like, there wasn't like a rhyme or reason to it. I was so like burnt out from being an entrepreneur and running a business for so long that I think I truly needed to go the exact opposite and like not do anything like with a plan in mind and just truly like go very intuitive, which is weird because like I'm not a very like woo-woo person, even though yes I live in Southern California, yes I do breath work, and yes I do meditation, and yes I drink matcha.
I love how you just listed all the things that are California.
I was like, I'm not woo-woo, I swear. I felt like the only way to truly like live a sabbatical year and like really like do this with like the intention of like let me not have a plan was to like just go off of instinct. I think I was just trying to do things that like were out of my comfort zone, out of my normal day-to-day, and things that like weren't tied to anything that like had to do with work or like productivity or like, you know, becoming more efficient or whatever. I just was like, I needed to do the exact opposite of what I've been doing for so long. So that was kind of the only plan, if I guess I had to say I have a plan.
Yeah. I feel like I started without a plan, which was just like, I'm just going to travel. A hack, I think, for everyone coming from corporate that I really am thankful that when I was having a conversation with Amazon, we were able to work through was I was part-time for a few months.
Oh, okay.
And I think it allowed me to
It was like a slow transition
to be able to be like, okay, I'm going to just work a couple days, help my team succeed and onboard them and transition. But at the same time, have these days where I'm all of a sudden free and like discover what do I do with that time. You start to get used to what do I do on these unstructured days after being unstructured for so long. And then I went to travel, and that in itself, I felt like I always see travel as fun and like unstructured. I was in Scotland, I was in Paris for your bachelorette. I did a lot of fun things in those months. But as soon as I came back,
you were like,
I was like, I need a structure.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that was the only thing I could survive. And I think a little bit different to you, where you were just like, I did things that without a purpose. I was very much like, oh, I need to find what I'm good at.
Yeah.
And where that makes money. And so I was very into this genius zone concept of like figuring that out. And so I had a plan for a few months because I was still committed to taking a year off of how that would scale up to until then. So
like, I'm taking a year, but in that year off, I'm also going to prep and use the year off to like prepare myself for the year after.
And the year after.
I literally was like, I am doing nothing. Like, I am truly going to do like the least that I can possibly do and still be myself. You know, you have to think about the type of person that you are. Like, it is really hard for me to be unscheduled and to go with the flow and not have a plan and not think, you know, a year out, 5 years out, whatever, or like, and not have everything serve whatever that plan is. But I think part of it for me was like, in order to like, again, this sounds so woo-woo, but in order to like heal and like basically like rediscover myself and who I am now, not as this business owner, I needed to like just be so different to how I was. Like, I needed to just literally do nothing, which is so not like me. Yeah.
I mean, I allowed myself to literally do nothing for half a day.
But for half a day, right? That's the thing. Honestly,
Yeah.
I would say it took me the first 3 months to even get into that mindset. So like, it's when I say a year, like, I really wasn't a year, because the first 3 months, when like to truly be like in that zone and that mindset I wanted to be in, the first 3 months were a wash, because I was like, you know, still resettling. Like, I just wasn't like regulated. Like, now I was like, oh my God, I'm not responsible for all these people. Like, I don't have all this like stuff I need to be doing. It took me 3 months just to even get used to the business being closed and like not having to be responsible for so many things day to day. And like, oh my gosh, it was so fun to like be able to go out and be like, oh, I don't have to teach a 6 a.m. class, or like I don't have to be on call because so-and-so is sick or whatever. You know, you don't have to deal with customer service like inquiries and all these things and advertising and all the stuff that, you know, ends up going on when you're running a business day to day. So that was just such a stark difference, but it was really fun to like be untethered and just be completely free and like not have to think about any consequences or anything for like future wise, right? And that was great for like a week. And I was like, oh my God, how fun. Like, this is so cool. And then after that, I was like, oh my God, reality setting in. Like, how is this my new life? Yeah. So then that was like 3 months of that, of like, being like, what the hell? I had to work every single day to not work. I had to really actively
deprogram yourself.
Like push myself back from doing things, because I would just catch myself like falling into the same thing. And I really mentally needed to make that change in order for it to be like truly like, okay, I'm actually giving myself this time off. That took a while to get there mentally and then be like, okay, this is the zone I'm in right now.
Commitment is like the number one thing I would recommend to people. You committed to a year, I committed to a year, and no matter if we arrived at it a little differently, like that was a commitment. I had that in my mind, and that helped me kind of like figure out, okay, I need to let this breathe. Maybe I wasn't letting everything unstructured, but I would like knew that I'm going to go to take Pilates at 10:30. Right. The luxury that you don't have in corporate. I'm going to take it at random hours, off peak. It's amazing.
Yeah. Working on a 10
it's amazing.
So good. You don't have to fight with anybody over any equipment. You just show up and you're like, oh, this is so great.
You know, I always wondered who were these women. And now it was us.
It was us.
That was nice.
That was really nice. I miss those days.
It was really nice. Like, I don't want to go back to being that other person who has to wake up at 6 a.m. to work out, you know? But one thing that constantly in that year, I still kept a calendar. Like, I had blocks where I was like, here's what I'm going to read. Like,
I know, I did the blocks too.
I'm going to podcast. This is my, like, time for myself to, like, do nothing. I had to have a do nothing block on my calendar, or I would force myself to be productive. Right. I would really encourage that if you can't fully deprogram yourself from like a schedule. But one thing that was really hard, and I don't know if you faced that, was constantly getting asked questions from people like, what are you doing next? What's next?
Honestly, I don't know if it's because I was very vocal about taking a year off and like doing nothing, and the fact that like I didn't know what I was going to do next. So I think people initially were asking me that a lot, but I think I had been very vocal about like, I'm taking a year off and I have no idea what I'm doing. And I think most people who had come to my studio knew how hard I was working. So I think people like immediately were like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. I need to take time off. You've been like grinding for 7 years. I'm like, yeah, it's been a lot. So I actually like don't feel like I got that as much, but I don't know if it was because people were primed to know that like this is already what's happening, because I've been very like vocal on social media, everybody that I knew, of like, I don't have any plan, and like this is already hard enough, so I don't make it harder by like trying to have something planned after this kind of thing.
I did get those questions a lot, but even though I was vocal that I'm taking a year off, I think maybe it's because people don't believe it after corporate. They think that it's like, well, this person is just leaving corporate because she's tired, and then she's gonna come back and with a new job. You know what I mean? I was like, boy, girl, like I am not looking for a new job.
They're taking 2 months off, or they'll be back, or like it's an extended vacation, whatever.
I was like, no, I am not looking for jobs. What are you talking to
me? I remember there were people putting you up for jobs, or like being like, well, actually, I know so-and-so is looking for this, and you were like, no, I don't want more of the same. What would be the purpose of doing that? You know, it's like when people ask me now, like, are you going to open another studio? And I was like, what? Like, I literally already did that, and what would have been the purpose of that sabbatical year if I go back to doing the same thing? You know what I mean? Like, no.
I constantly felt like maybe it was people were projecting like the anxiety of one. How can she take a year off? Where are the funds coming from? Right.
I mean, it's doable. I think you just have to. First of all, anything is doable, right? I remember when I was in the corporate world in tech, and people would be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're leaving to go open up a business." I'm like, everything is doable. If you want to do something, you should be able to just go and try it, obviously, right? If you have the ability to, why not? And so it's like, if you want to set yourself up to have a sabbatical year, if you've been grinding really hard, like, why can't you? Like, if you're a great planner, you can set it up and figure out how to do it, then like, more power to you, take it. I think for me, it's like, it has to be done purposefully and like part of the reason for me, the purpose was during that time was do nothing. I kept just telling myself, you are doing nothing. And every time an opportunity would come up, obviously people would ask me like, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? I would just say, I don't want to do anything that like is going to cause additional like work for me because I can't. And so I would just say no to everything until I felt like I could do something without going back into my old pattern. So I think that was what it was for me, a lot of like do nothing until you're at the point where you can do something but not do it in the same way you were doing it before.
Like I don't want to do things the same. And then through the year also I learned how much I actually liked this unstructured schedule. So that was mind-blowing for me because even though yes I had like a loose framework around it, like I was like I really like managing my own time.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah.
And so like that is so nice. Knowing that about myself was something that like you could only do in the space of taking time off. So that was going to be my question to you. What is the thing that in the stillness you learned?
I think what I learned was that I'm actually way more adaptable than I think I was. Like we don't always have to be the way we were, right? Just because I'm super structured and very on my schedule and like very type A and like like doesn't mean I always have to be that way. If something that I'm doing and the way I'm doing it isn't making me feel good or isn't fulfilling for me, like why can't I just try to change it, right? What that year really helped me discover was like that there is a version of me that is unstructured and unscheduled and still can be on time and really cares about us, like how things progress and really cares about like planning things out and like taking care of like small details about things. I can still do all of that, but still be very like loose and open and like go with the flow. And I like the duality of being a type A and a more loosey-goosey can exist at the same time. That is something that I don't think I truly like knew or understood or had figured out about myself until I like was like, okay, I'm gonna be more loose and kind of like fell into that. I always kind of like, I felt like there were two extremes and like you could only live within the two extremes. You were either like a structured, scheduled type A person or you were like the exact opposite. And I think, you know, there's something to be said about finding more space in the middle, more gray area for yourself of like, how am I an unscheduled, untethered person, but also still the same person that I always am, which is more scheduled.
Yeah, I think that we've both figured out we're gray.
You might be wondering what this actually looks like in real life and how common it even is to take time off like this. The truth is, it's not. Only about 10 to 20% of US workers ever take a true sabbatical or extended career break. And it's not always because people don't want to, but because stepping away without a plan still feels risky, sometimes even irresponsible, which is what makes what came next so interesting, because this is where you start to see what that kind of space actually does for you.
I honestly don't think I could have been prepared to build a business without that year. You were building your business and you became a mother. And I don't think you could could have done it without that year.
I don't think I would be the same parent that I am. I'm only 8 months in.
She has a lot of practice.
Let me preface it. I don't think that I would be mentally where I am at 8 months in now into being a new mom than if this had happened, if I'd never had that sabbatical year or if I was pre-sabbatical year, I would not be in the same I wouldn't be the same person because that year just taught me so much. And like, honestly, it's like, I didn't plan on all those lessons, but all those lessons from that year off, like have helped me so much with the last 8 months of like being a new parent. Like, you're just like, oh, like obviously like we were here recording this and then like the baby didn't want to go down for a nap. And it's like, what do you do? Like, it's just like all these things that just life, right? Like they come up and you have to just go with the flow and you have to deal with it and you have to adjust and you have to be more malleable and I think and be more adaptable. And I think that's something that I learned in that sabbatical year was to just go with the flow and to do less, just to be okay with existing. Period. That's it. There doesn't need to be anything else and no greater purpose, no greater that's it. You are existing and that is more than enough.
Honestly, watching your first 8 months as a mother has taught me that like anyone who says mat leave is time off can get fucked.
No, it's like, still not time off. It's literally the exact opposite of time off. Like, time off and maternity leave are very different. Like, the sabbatical year, like, oh, I'm just going to wake up and, like, I'm going to go take a Pilates class at 10. And then I'm going to read a book or I'm going to go for a walk or I'm going to go meet up with my friends or, like, whatever. I call that my selfish year. And, like, honestly, like, I loved it. It was so nice and it was so, like, fulfilling as a person, that now that I don't have that luxury of being selfish anymore, because it's just not the stage of life I'm in, I'm like okay with it because I got that full year of my time truly being mine and me being able to dictate how I use my time and if I use it at all. Now I don't have that luxury, so now time is just completely different. But I don't think I would have accepted the space and time I'm in now or the way I have to use time now if I hadn't had that experience of that year. I don't know how I would be mentally like managing being a new parent now if I hadn't had all that time to really like sit with stillness, honestly.
How do you take time off in that time that's not off?
It's not necessarily an amount of time, actually. What I've learned is the mindset that you go into that time with. Now, 5 minutes, if I get 5 minutes in the morning before she wakes, like if I sleep as much as I possibly can, right? Like my lesson to all new moms out there, I'm like, my little side note, lessons to all new moms is like sleep whenever you fucking can and just do it as much as you can. Take the time to sleep. And I love my sleep. Like I'm a 8 to 9 hour a day kind of like person if I can. That's hard with a newborn, right? But let's say I wake up 5 minutes earlier than her, or she just happens to sleep 5 minutes later than me. Having that at 5 minutes, like, I just feel like it sets me up for the rest of the day because I can have 5 minutes to have my coffee. I'm not going to let it get cold, or I'm going to like check up on news, or I'm going to catch up on text, and just like I have 5 minutes. And for some reason, that 5 minutes, because I'm going into the mindset for the 5 minutes of like, this is my rejuvenating time for myself before the day starts. I also have the same thing in the evening. So in the evening time, like once she goes down for sleep at night, I try to like do something that's truly for me. And like, I love skincare and I love using that as a form of self-care. So having that time at night to like truly like do my self-care skincare routine, just like lighting a candle and like turning on the music and just truly letting it be like this extravagant, luxurious moment that you have for yourself, even though it's really only 20-30 minutes. Sometimes I like push it and do an hour if I wash my hair. Truly, that to me is like, feels like I got like 5 hours of time because I'm going into the mindset. I just shut everything else out. This is my time to like feed my soul, and that's my intention going into it. So I think it's not even necessarily like how much time you have, it's what's the mindset and the intention you're going into with that time, right? Because you could still be working a corporate job, but maybe it's like the weekends you truly are unscheduled, unbothered, and untethered, right? Or maybe it's like your mom and the only time you can get is like the 5 minutes. Now nap times have become like, I'm gonna do my Pilates order and I'm gonna like read a little bit of my book. And then aside from like all the other duties that I have of just like prepping things and doing things for the baby or for the home or whatever, like now I have built myself like a little schedule of like, this is my time to myself to do whatever it is that I want to do, whether that's 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever it is. I think it's just what's the mindset that you're going into it. I feel like I get more out of it by going into it with the right mindset, no matter the length of time that I have.
Right. And even those small times, that must take people to support you. How did people support you in your year off? And in those moments, those mini moments like that you felt was really helpful?
During the year off, I would tell people like, if you're doing something that like is interesting or doing an activity, like invite me. Right. Because if I have, if I probably wasn't doing anything else, but it was nice to have like the freedom to just be like, oh yeah, let me go do that. And like, it doesn't need to be planned super far out in advance because now my schedule is totally free. So if you're doing something cool, interesting, text me, like I might come. And I did. I would just show up to things that people would invite me, or it'd be like, hey, I'm going to this thing in 2 hours. You want to come? I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing anything else. Like, let me go check it out. Having people just invite you and like having the door open. I think the other thing too is like, you have to just put out the vibe that you want, right? I would just tell people like, I'm looking to try new stuff. So like, if you're going to go do something, let me know. Like if it's something I'm interested in, I'm going to come, maybe I'll come, which is very different for me because typically before I had to plan things so far out because I was, running a business and you're scheduled and that's hard to do, to be very like last minute. I think now as a new parent, it's different because I think I'm even more like last minute with like things. You can't plan. Like it's just the reality. And again, this time it took me longer. I think it took me the first 6 months to really realize that like you can make a plan, but it's probably not going to go the way you're expecting to go. So I think I've just gotten into, because of what I learned in my sabbatical year, of that mindset of like, it's okay to not have a plan. It's okay to just go with the flow. And it's totally okay to just exist for the day. That's productive enough. I think that is part of it too, is like, you don't have to do something to be productive. You can just exist.
You know what's interesting about that piece where you talk about like, people just remember that I'm around. For me, it was also kind of like reminding people that just because I had time off doesn't mean that I was flexible or free. Does that make sense? It didn't mean that like my time couldn't be respected. So that was actually the most helpful thing, when people just knew that they had to respect my time. That like if I was, you know, cooking, it didn't mean that I needed to cook every night for you. It was just something I was doing because I had free time and that was what I wanted to do, but not because I had more time did not mean that I was now in charge of dinner every night. You know what I mean? The respect of like knowing that like just because people have more free time doesn't mean that they're open to doing what you want to do.
I think what you liked the most from what I gathered from you from your sabbatical year, this is like my view of it, was that I think you got to own your time.
Yes.
Which you didn't have in your corporate life.
Yes.
And that's how, at least how I saw you. That's why you were like, even though I'm not working corporate and so I'm not in this 9 to 5 and I'm technically on the sabbatical, but the sabbatical for you was re-owning your time, like your time. And so that's why it's like, no, I'm not just like free to do whatever, because I am planning my time for the way I want it to be.
Yes.
Planned. Yeah. So I totally, I get that and I understood that.
Yeah. What was the weirdest thing you did on your year off?
I mean, I don't think I did anything weird. I did like extravagant things, I guess. So I maybe wouldn't have been able to do otherwise. Like just taking like trips, like I planned this like amazing bachelorette in Paris, like that was so fun. I don't think I probably would have been able to do that kind of trip in the way that I wanted to do it and to be just so like free unless I was in that sabbatical time, because I obviously like running a business, when you take time off, it's like you're still running, you know what I mean, like you're still in the back of your mind, still, you know, there's still things, and at the end of the day it's still your business. You still have to answer. You still have to deal with things if they come up. Just like the most like outlandish thing I can think of was that I just truly was like, okay, I'm going to Paris. Bye. And like that was it. Like I just go.
Did you remember we were like basically on every month we were going to buy it?
No, yeah. We went wine tasting like every single month. Every single month.
We were like, Fernando's birthday? Fine.
I want to go do that again. Like I'm like, like, oh, it's your birthday? Let's go wine tasting. Or like it's Sunday and it's sunny, let's go wine tasting. Like why not? I mean, Mexico's literally like 15 minutes across the border. Like why would you not take advantage of that? I don't know. I feel like, again, just freedom of time. It was like do nothing, but also do anything.
Yeah, I was booked. I perfected my chili.
Again, you gotta be productive.
Gotta be productive. Yeah. I also perfected my curly hair routine.
For me, I think the shift in my routine for my hair goes along with like what I'm doing in life. During my sabbatical, my curly hair routine, I had the time to like finger coil. Those curls are popping. They were perfect. I had the time to like do all the extra steps, like the hair mask and then like the towel dry and then the like all the things like the diffusing, like, you know, like creating the cast. I had all the time. Now I'm like, oh my God, what can I do in 7 minutes? Like, can I do my hair in 7 minutes? Can I like let it air dry while I like walk the baby? So I think that's why now I've been trying to figure out what's the least amount of time that I can spend in the routine, but still get like a good enough result, if that makes sense. Whereas when I had all this time during sabbatical, my hair routine was like, how could I make it perfect? Because I have tons of time. I'm like, oh my God, I want it to look like the Pinterest board, you know? But it's like, the Pinterest board looks the way it looks, or those posts, because they have so much time, or it's being done by a professional, or they're using a tool. So there's that.
I mean, I still take the time. I feel like because I now take that as a self-care time. My morning routine is religious, and then I think the hair time becomes another self-care moment.
Yeah, it's like a ritual for you.
Because it does take time. Like people think we woke up like this, maybe 20 minutes for me to blow dry air, diffuse my hair. Before then, I go section by section on my hair because my hair is like needs a lot of moisture. I don't want any product to miss, so I'm literally going in chunk. It's a 45-minute endeavor.
I have like a fast 7-minute, and then I have like I have like a regular amount of time, so I would say that's like 25 minutes.
If anything, this is actually like the lessons of time year off one bit. What we can do in our year off is shrunken. You can't take 45 minutes to like do your hair. You can't take 3 hours to cook a meal. But you have to remember all those things, like how do I create more time for myself? How do I have more hobbies? Like, and all, like, and those are the lessons you take even if you don't have the time that you had in your sabbatical. That's really why I always say, like, again, I know it's a luxury, but for anyone who can take it, it's just so important.
And I think it's even like find ways to take time for yourself that doesn't have to be the extreme, right? It doesn't have to be a full year. The thing is that, like, I think people like are like, oh, well, I only have so much vacation time. I'm like, okay, what about your weekends? Like, could you take 1 week in a month where you don't do what you regularly do all weekend and you just do like a mini sabbatical? Like, why can't you just do a detox sabbatical for 2 days in a month? You know what I mean? And you do it every month or whatever. I don't know. There's just so many different ways to do it that it doesn't have to look one way. It doesn't have to be your year. It doesn't have to be 6 months. It doesn't even have to be a month. It could be a week. It could be, 3 days. It could be 1 day. It's just how the mindset that you go into it and like how you prepare yourself for going into that. For me, I had such a stark, like, going from so like busy running the business to like business is closed. It was like a hard stop for me. For you, it was more of like a slow transition, which probably I think was helpful for you. I am a rip the Band-Aid off kind of person. So I either I think I have to, like, it was better for me to just go full stop. Okay, now I'm in this totally new thing. And then it's like, okay, how do I take the time to then like mindset shift? That's actually what takes me the longest. Once I get into that new groove, then I'm like, okay, cool, I'm in this new groove. I can kind of like find my way into it.
When did you know it was time to call it?
More and more opportunities kept coming my way. And more I wanted to say yes. Even though I was like, okay, I've enjoyed the time off. It felt like something felt right. Like I was like, I feel not healed, but like I just felt better. And I felt like, okay, I can take on opportunities and not completely lose all these lessons that I've just taken all this time to learn for myself, and lose all of my hobbies and like all that stuff that I had taken the time off to go and pursue. I felt like I could get back into work and do it in a way that was still like good for me.
Yeah. I think for me, it was actually like, I felt healed, but it's almost like my body told me it's time.
It's time.
Because I started sleeping less. And your girl was sleeping 8 to 10 hours every single night.
I mean, that's how I was like, okay. I'm like, that's normal.
I usually am at like a 7, 8. And with corporate, it became like kind of dicey. But when I started, like, for some reason my body was like, you're not tired enough anymore. I think there was a lot of work of being tired of like finding yourself. That is like a really tiring work. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, like you've learned a lot about yourself now. Like it's like now you're no longer tired from the mindset shift and it's tiring. Asking yourself those questions.
It's exhausting.
I know we sound so California right now. It's exhausting.
It's so exhausting to find yourself and to just like understand what's fulfilling for you. Oh my god, we sound so irritating.
But yeah, that was when I knew. I was like, oh, like my sleep is like, I need to be more tired.
Yeah, you need to do more because you're not tired enough.
And it just feels so far away now.
It honestly feels like that was like a lifetime ago. But if I had not taken that sabbatical year, and I had just gone into whatever I was honestly, I don't think I could have. Like, there's just no way mentally that I had any capacity to do anything. It was exactly what I needed at the time, and it has set me up for good with doing less now as a new parent. For anybody who becomes a parent, your life completely changes. That's like a lot to get used to. I think that was like a good way for me to prepare for this time.
Looking back, this conversation wasn't really about taking a year off. It was about what happens when you finally give yourself space to pause. And how freaking lucky was I to go through that experience with one of my closest friends. And while I know it's a luxury, I hope you've had or will have moments like this too. Because something really interesting happens when you stop long enough to hear yourself think.